Right, we're back with another episode of the Immerse podcast. A very special guest with us. Not just me and you this time, Dan, is it?
Nope.
You
I've been
know,
looking forward to this one.
me too. I was a bit apprehensive of this one, to be honest, because I've just taken this man on as my business coach, and I'm not sure if I want to share it with the world. I want to keep it a secret.
Yourself.
Chris Iredale, welcome to the podcast, my friend. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thanks for having me on
That's all right.
and for sharing the secret sauce.
Don't say too much. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for coming on, mate. We've recently been connected through a mutual friend of ours, which is Darren Stringer.
That's right.
Give a big shout out to Darren as well.
Great guy.
Yeah, Darren's just started doing a bit of work with Immerse on the saunas, and the connection here, mate, is interestingly Traction, the book,
Yep.
and the systems behind that. You kind of specialise in implementing that
That's
into
right.
people's businesses, and
That's right. It's very easy to bring, even to a startup business. You can put Traction lighting and the books and the whole library, which we'll talk about as we get into this.
Yeah.
There's so much knowledge in there. You know, it's been globally tested. It's affordable. You know, if you can even buy it secondhand on eBay, but you know, most people will go to Amazon, down get the library.
Yeah.
You're
just before, I'm just going to extend this a bit, Chris. So it's picking up your voice, mate. There you go. Yeah. So I guess before we get into the crunk of it, mate, it's always interesting to find out a little bit about the person sat behind the mic. A bit of a let's go back a little bit, Chris, and go back to a bit of the beginnings, really. You know, what's formed the man, really, that's sat right in front of us in a compressed version, you know.
Compressed version. So let's go back to very early school. My report said things like Christopher's easily distracted, Christopher's a clown, etc. I've still got them, and that stays with me. Wasn't academic. Was away in my own world, going off to university. So I ended up going into the world of printing and manufacturing. And I'm what I call classically trained. I've got city and guilds, you know, so I was on the floor. Enjoyed that environment because it was very stimulating, lots to learn. And, you know, I put tons of hours into that because I always wanted to be the best. And then roll that forward a decade or so. I wasn't really interested in progressing my career because I had a side hustle. It wasn't called a side hustle back then, but which was DJing. So I was
there we go.
Right at the beginning of the sort of first summer of love and the rave culture and all that. The timing of that with me being a teenager was just awesome. I feel very fortunate to have been.
When did that kick off for you?
In my teens, so
when we're looking at
86, 16-year-old, 86. So I've given my age away already.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Just as like house as a genre has been sort of created, really, isn't it?
Oh, yeah,
you know, disco house. Oh wow, what a time!
So yeah, really lucky to be part of that. Avid record collector, so I started building up. And yeah, before you know it, people were pushing me forward and saying the decks arrive, and hyper focused, would spend too many hours outside of earning a living, learning how to mix, learning how to spot, you know, get the vibe together, the whole thing, transitions. And
proper way as well.
Yeah, they still do it now. And yeah, that
hard graft is that.
It is hard graft.
There's no sync button on those decks, is there?
It's not. You've got to listen.
Yeah, you've got to use your ears, and you've got to learn how to hold a room. And I mean, I've done 10, 12-hour sets.
Wow.
After our parties, because back then everywhere shut at 2. And me and some friends run a local, what was called a blues club or an after hours party, and called Dendos, and I'd still be playing. So that was my side hustle, and I learned how to network like that. I learned how to make new contacts, how to get in front of people, and before you know it, I'm doing warm-ups and headlining and playing just about any club you can think of across the north of England, like Hacienda, Love to Be, Cream, etc. And everything in and around Leeds and Huddersfield. So Hard Times was fabulous. You know, we were the after party after Hard Times. Still going strong is Steve Rain.
Do you still have a little go every?
Oh yeah, I collect buy and sell records every week. And,
have you got a SoundCloud account or anything like that?
Maybe I do. Yeah, I don't put much up there. I did some live streaming. If you remember, lives was a big thing during lockdown. So I did something for Hacienda Friends, and I think that's still up there. So yeah, I've probably got. I might have a dozen or so mixes that are available. I'll talk to you about them.
What were your DJ name?
Just Chris Iredale.
Right, Chris Iredale.
But more recently, to give some separation between Chris Iredale, the coach, mentor, business advisor, DJ under the name Rare Beats.
Rare Beats. Okay, cool.
And it's just a hobby for me.
Yeah,
it's a passion, and it's a whole sort of network of alternative people. You know, and I like that.
Yeah,
that's where lots of really interesting contacts can come from. You know,
serious quirks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I say, I didn't realize at the time, but one of my sort of mental gifts, which is hyperfocus, that's what I used to become a DJ, and that's what I've used elsewhere now. That's a great tool, is having a mind that can really hyperfocus, spot patterns, different ways of working, can see
energy shifts.
Yeah, and also seeing opportunities and issues. I can sit down with a business owner. I didn't realize this until I was diagnosed, but that'll something we can talk about a bit later on. But I didn't realize why I could sit down with you for an hour and give you a business plan and action points within an hour. And you're probably thinking, well, how does this guy know anything about my business?
Yeah.
I don't. I'm learning your business as we're talking, but in the background, my mind's thinking, how can I improve this? Where are the bottlenecks? What's going wrong? What could go better? What's important right now? Where are the distractions? That's kind of a filter that I guess I've built up over time within my own businesses. That's where I learned. Founder of a new business in 2001 that I was a partner of for 16 years, which was a manufacturing business in a very tough environment, print in the UK. It's a declining market. So more people are fighting for less. You had to have an edge. You had to have ways of winning. And that's where I really cut my teeth as a business owner. The side hustle was one way of learning, but I was in a very positive environment there, whereas it's much different when you've got an overhead, you're building staff, you've got responsibilities. That's when stuff gets real. And I've made every mistake in the book. And that's really what made me pick up books. That's, I thought I've learned how to DJ by watching others. How can I become a better business person by watching others? Most people in the business community, maybe back then at the turn of the millennium, were not really into sharing, because these were people that had established their businesses in the 70s, 80s, 90s. They had very different habits and beliefs. It's not the sharing world that we enjoy now. So I thought, well, if people are not going to share, I'm going to have to go out and find that information. And that's where the books started coming in.
Yeah.
Podcasts were a thing back then. So I just pick up book, help my team to improve.
Yeah.
I think that has a lot more weight, if I'm honest. I know we're sat here on a podcast right now and that's what we're trying to do, but I think when you've got the passion to want to really go and sit and read that book, and really, it's acknowledging that space that you're in. You're not just listening and multitasking and things like that. And do you know what I mean? You've really got to be dedicated to want to break this book down.
Definitely.
And I think it lands differently when you've done that. And obviously, if you've read those books, that's all that knowledge that's really embedded into you, isn't it?
Yeah. No, you're right. It's your time, isn't it? You're giving up your time. It's not like listening to some music, or maybe sometimes even a podcast. It can kind of wash through you a little bit. It's amazing what lands. And if you pick up one thing, it's worth the commitment of giving that hour up, maybe. But when you're learning, the disciplines of traction, there's 6 or 7 books here. This is a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
And yes, the tools are available online, but you've got to understand it and then filter it through your system and think, how can I use this in my business? How can I use this with my team? We're literally throwing away our operating system, which is usually a Frankenstein's monster of spreadsheets, Word documents, paper documents, that's how most people end up running a business, isn't it? They've got all these various things. Obviously, there's apps and things like that nowadays, but back then, everything was nearly paper-based. This is pre-internet, faxing everything.
Yeah.
So you really have to put a credible amount of detail forward to make people think, okay, why do we want to run our business differently today? What's wrong with what we've done? So getting that buy-in, so you have to study hard, really, to be credible, and actually handing out the books and sharing with your team. Look, this is where we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
These are the reasons why. You'll always get people's attention if you share the journey with them and you open up. So for us, we were wanting to grow, and we were in a very challenging, competitive market. So we needed the edge, and I felt those books gave us the edge. That was the beginning of doing things different and being disruptive in that market.
To me, mate, like, you've got a lot of experience now, haven't you, through multiple years of being in business. And I don't know whether this is just my sort of naive thinking, but for you to be implementing these systems, how long ago were it now? 15, 20 years ago?
So my first business was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Been self-employed for 25 years. I've had 3 or 4 businesses. I've sold and exited very different brands, very different businesses. So that was interesting for me to see what I was capable of. But what's behind it is my way of doing business development, if you would. That was my role in the first business. I was sales and marketing director. So although I was technically able with the product and had experience of actually producing it, because I'd come from the floor, if you would, and I'd managed men and teams on the floor, my role was to connect with our prospects, to put brilliant proposals together, to be really commercial. Often we had to be the best price to win work. I think at one point we'd got 2,000 customers in that business. Yes, 80% of our revenue was coming from the top 200 or so, and those were key relationships, which I had a lot to do with bringing. So that whole cycle of business development, prospecting, back then, a lot of networking, being known in the industry. So yeah, I've got tons and tons of hands-on experience. I've seen what's worked well. I've seen what's not worked well. I've had the late nights, the sleepless nights, slept under the desk because I didn't want to go home because I wanted to get up again and do more. Had the responsibilities of 60 staff and overheads and all that comes with that. Plenty of sleepless nights.
Yeah, can imagine.
So to be able to reflect back on that as I went into other businesses and I founded other companies, it's like, what's the best I can take from this? That's really where my coaching practice, that's where the idea of that came from. So then to be able to go and road test that.
You've literally crash test dummied it, haven't you?
Exactly. Totally. Yeah, it's a good phrase.
What I was going to say is it seems very forward thinking of you to say it was, 20, 25 years ago, and you're implementing these type of systems into the businesses. How did you come across these books and systems in those times? Because, like you say, people do hold it close to the chest. It's different now.
Yeah.
How did you come across it back then?
Thankfully. Yeah, thank you. So, towards the back end of my career with my first business, to part company with my 2 business partners. They loved the business and they wanted to see their working life out in that business. I was I was a generation or so younger than them. So I had appetite to do other things. So we needed to part company. And that had to be, we were so embedded in that business, obviously, after 16 years. So we agreed to work with a business coach about how we prepare for me to exit the business. So we interviewed 6 coaches and we went with Patrick. And he was just, that moment for me was life-changing, bringing a coach in, because my partner, one was the FD, and he had a background in accountancy. The other was the MD, who had a background in operations, so he was MD stroke ops director. I learned a lot from those guys. They were also negative mentors in some cases. Yeah, if you can kind of connect with that.
Yeah.
Negative mentors are as important as your positive mentors, as long as you can spot them and learn the lesson and not bring any of that into
Yeah.
your own life going forward.
Yeah.
So it's one to watch out for with your children, the negative mentors that they're exposed to. And then just being able to use that messaging back with them and say, look, what you've seen and witnessed there is a lesson.
That's how not to do it.
That's how not to do it. That's how not to live your life.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you get me, that's the point I got to. So Patrick came in, and he spent a lot of time getting to know us as individuals one-to-one, because we all had our piece in the business. We all had our part in the business, and we were equal shareholders. So it was really important that the exit was dealt professionally and in such a manner that, and so that went through. That was back in 2000. We were doing this work in 2014, 15, and 16. He was on retainer, and he would come into the business. And not only would he work on the exit strategy, he'd also help us improve the business. So he would be looking at process, people, data, the whole thing. And I love data. I've just got that kind of mind. I really enjoy it, and I can pick it up quickly and hopefully look for opportunities. So while we were having this conversation, we also had to come up with a contract, which meant I could exit the business, but the two partners, continuing partners, would feel confident that I wasn't going to go out there in the world. People had tried to poach me many times to go and work in the competition. It's rife throughout print and manufacturing. It's an easy way of pigeon customers, if you would, So we had an agreement that I would come out of the industry, non-disclosure. I would be out of the industry for 2 years, non-compete.
Yeah.
Fair enough. What was I going to do in the meantime? So I was looking at opportunities. Friends of mine had businesses in other sectors and other products and services that they wanted to tap into my business development techniques. So I knew I had something to do. I just didn't realize until Patrick spent some time with me and said, look, why don't you come into my coaching practice? Why don't you become our business development? Which blew me away, really, because here's a guy that I think I've absolutely put on a pedestal, because he's just he's 67 at the time, and he's just full of energy and full of knowledge and experience. And he thought that there was a place in his business for me. I was like, wow, I don't know how to do any of this. Bit of a blind spot maybe for me. And he was able to show me and demonstrate everything I've seen you do here, here, and here. Other people want to be able to do that. And you know how to do it. You just got to learn maybe how to coach and mentor it. So that's what happened, is I joined his practice. It was fabulous. Really loved. Sadly, not long into joining forces, he was diagnosed critically ill. And the idea was, we had a plan that in 3 years' time, I would take over. He would start to step further back, and I would take over his practice. And unfortunately, he passed away within 3 months.
3 months?
Yeah,
Wow.
brutal.
Wow.
And quite hard for me.
He must have known. He must have known, like,
yeah,
I need to bring this chap in,
Yeah. So what should have been a joyful experience became really tragic. And I worked with his wife. We'd drawn a document and plan up for me to take over the business year on year. It's what they call like an earn out. So I was buying into the business and he was earning out. And the reason he wanted to do it over 3 years was, one, it's a classic way of selling a business. All the knowledge and IP doesn't leave the business immediately.
Yeah.
So the incoming owner can be confident that the core team in the business, or the owner, that's very significant to the customer base, etc., will remain in place. It's the same when we
It's like
That's
laddering it, isn't it?
that's
Instead of it
right.
just being a bosh and
Yeah,
and then that creates uncertainty,
yeah,
doesn't it, and disruption.
that's right.
Yeah.
And because he was a big part of the business, this is an issue that I work with founders, is that if you design a business that you can sell, and you can't sell a business if you are the main person in the
Yeah.
business, who
Yeah.
can buy that business from you if you're not going to be in it?
Mm.
So the halfway house is to have an earn-out deal, structured earn-out deal, and that's what we put together. His wife, she said, "Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do it." And then we started that plan, getting ready to sign the documents, and he was gone.
Oh, man.
Well.
So, oh man, it was awful.
Mm.
And yeah, I miss him. But so what we did in the end, his wife said, "Look, I don't plan and deal because Patrick's not here," and I agreed with her.
Mm.
So I said, "What do you want to do?" And she said, "Well, can you help me shut down his practice?" So that's what I did.
Right.
Spent time writing to his clients, meeting his clients. Obviously, a lot of people are going to miss him. His service was phenomenal. It was just packed out.
Yeah.
And some of the clients said, "Look, well, we'd like to stay with you," but I didn't have Blueco. That was his business, Blueco. So I formed July 1. So I'm coming up for 10 years this summer, guys.
10 years coming up.
Yeah.
Yes.
I formed Thriven, and that is my sort of business development growth practice. So yeah, nearly 10 years in now.
Well, congrats, Matt.
Yeah, thank you.
You must have some good systems that you're running your business by.
One or two.
You could say that.
Systems and processes.
Still reading a lot, listening a lot.
Constantly.
Lifelong learner. But yeah, I've over the last near 10 years, I've worked with hundreds of businesses, large, small, you name it, startups, scale-ups.
Different types of businesses or certain types?
Very, very different. Very, very different. Manufacturing, retail, service-led businesses, digital businesses, lots of consultancies where people start as a consultant and then get maybe a micro team, a mini business, and then go on to develop into, if that's what works for them. So yeah, there isn't really an industry that I haven't worked in.
Right.
And really there are only 7 business models. So once you know those models and how they work and fit together, the only change really that you've got is the brand, the people, and the product or service.
Do you see a similar theme of errors that people are making?
all
let's
the time.
let's say like your top 3 errors of, let's say, startup businesses, no matter what the sector is, the service or the product is. Do you notice themes there that are always standing out to be the same sort of issues that people run
100%.
into?
Yeah. People, the owner of the business, the founder, the leaders.
Yep.
That's often what's holding the business back. They're never short of ideas. They've got loads of vision. What they are short of is implementation, or even getting out of their head and passing that down. Leaders will say, "Oh, no one understands me. They don't do it how I want them to do it." Yeah, because you've not shared your vision with them. They're not on board. They're on the bus, but they don't know where they're going, how fast they're going, how long they're meant to be on the bus. That is a big one for me.
Get out of your own way, mate.
Get out of your own way. And those are really, look, because of my background and because of my career, and maybe because I'm Northern, I'm very straightforward and direct. It's not from the heart and it's not supported, but let's not waste any more time here. If we're going to do something about it, I've got skin in the game now. I'm working with you. This has got to work for me as well as you. That's what I bring to a partnership. So I'm going to have to give you some real feedback. And unfortunately, that can provoke a lot of soul searching. It's not unusual for people to have emotional moments during some part of this journey with me. It's not unusual. It's always one-to-one, but I do hear, listen, and then I have to reflect that and give feedback. And some people can become emotional, or they may ring me the next day and say, "You absolutely floored me with that." But that's okay. Take it on board. It's meant with love, it's meant with support.
Yeah.
Let's rebuild. let's move past this. It's not always possible. I can count on one hand, really, the clients that have just sort of said, well, F you, I'm going to do it my way. Or, no, I don't. But sometimes you have to walk away.
In so many words.
You just can't work all the time. And I don't want part of a situation where it's not. So yeah, I've had a bit of that over the time. But yeah, once that is the main blocker. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? The person who loves the businesses, it's their child almost. They've formed it, they've ploughed everything into it, and they're the ones that ultimately are holding their business back.
Sometimes people are not ready for the truth also.
That's a stinger for someone to hear, isn't it? If everything seemingly is failing underneath, but then they have to go and self-reflect and, think actually, this is me. So that's got to be a rough one when you...
Yeah, it's tough love, isn't it?
100%.
That can be a harsh reality, yeah.
I think something that I picked up on earlier, which is again something that I always like to reiterate with people, is the importance of sport. And you've, played high level rugby league and rugby union.
That's right, yeah.
And I think it's just the lessons that you get every single week from playing a sport like that. You get humbled real fast.
Oh, yeah.
You get the shit knocked out of you.
Yep.
You think you're a big man. No, you're not.
Yep.
Somebody will come and floor you. And
someone's bigger.
Someone will rattle your hips when you're not
is
watching.
Physical.
That's it. But it's constantly giving you the feedback. And I think that helps you as a coach as well, because you get to learn that it doesn't always go your way. You can't be too big for your boots. You've always got to be willing to learn.
100%.
And that's,
no, I love what you've said there. Back playing sport, the feedback's real. You feel it.
If you're not fit enough,
you
it
know
shows.
where you fit.
Yeah.
I do a lot of cycling, and you know how good you are within that peloton, within that team. Regardless of age, it's nothing to do with it. It's output. So yeah, I like that, and it's something that's been in my world. I've always played sport at some level. So, and I think really the thing that sits behind that then is discipline. So you're getting the feedback. Yes, you've got some talent, but where's the discipline? Are we missing out training? Are we not really listening to nutrition, etc.? It's the same in business, isn't it?
Yeah.
If that discipline, if that muscle isn't there, then yeah, you're going to...
Have you found then, because obviously now you're coming up to 10 years, mate, in coaching, and you've now worked with a lot of founders, would you say that having some sort of sporting background, physical activity is a common thread between founders that you've worked with?
A lot of them. I mean, I've worked with hundreds of teams, thousands and thousands of hours, become very close to the businesses that I work with and support. And I'm still dealing with some of them. Yeah, I think a lot of founders are very creative, neurodiverse. That's where this visionary comes from, these gifts, being able to spot things, and hyper focus, as I've used, so you usually find, just like I am, they've got lots going on, not just in the business outside. It's just they're spinning lots of plates, and they're reasonably good at quite a few things, actually. So like with me, with the DJing and sport, gardening, family,
What?
So
Where there?
And it just goes up and up and up.
Chris, hold on. Sport, gardening. That's literally my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Like DJ, I was a qualified landscape gardener.
Awesome.
Football. I'm like, what? What's going on here?
Well, I guess
this is why we're working together, I suppose, isn't it?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of common ground, but then again, those are
flipping heck.
Those are
Yeah.
And also, if I look at this through a neurodiverse lens, it's stimulation. Ultimately, that's what drives lots of founders is stimulation. Cannot sit down. Why do they want to sit down and just have TV wash through them? They want to do something. I've got to be doing something. And I've had to learn and relearn what kind of stimulation I bring into my life. And I can see that with others.
Yeah.
As I say, with on that ND lens. So there's lots of, a bit like the negative mentors, there's lots of negative stimulation. And that's rife it throughout the business
Mm.
community.
Mm.
I think it's quite interesting, like what you actually do. You know, I think it's people have got their assumptions and ideas of what a business mentor does, and a bit like a consultant who just sits on the fence and just shares a couple of ideas and right, off you go, see you later.
Yeah, yeah.
And you do something quite different to that. What is it that you do exactly?
No, thank you. That's a good point that you're making. Yeah, look, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a consultant and write you a lovely report and say this is what you need to be doing. Because I'm a business founder, because I've sat and sit in those seats, that's where I come from. I roll my sleeves up. I join your team. I want to show you how to do it. I'm not going to take it all on. We're going to do this together as a team. We're going to make some quick progress. That's the difference, I think. That's my approach. There are lots of coaching frameworks, advisory frameworks. Most of them will come from that sort of concept and theory. But come on, if you're smart enough, the concepts and theories are available. They're out there. Pick up. My thing is I use diagnostics. Over the years, it's down to data again. I use diagnostics. So when I first start to work with somebody, we'll do a diagnostic. I put that through a lens. People will answer. There's lots of questions, friction maps, strengths, weaknesses. Those are not just the business, it's also the person. I want to see what makes you tick, how you make decisions. I want to understand really what range you're at. I work with autistic leaders, I work with ADHD leaders. I'm ADHD myself. Didn't find that out till late life, but that's why the reports I was getting at school and why I couldn't focus on certain things and why I hyper focus on certain things. So I've built that a range of diagnostics that fit whatever type of business you are. Whether you're an established business that's looking to scale further, or maybe you're in crisis. It's not always positive when people come to me. Maybe something's really quite crucial and in a crisis. I also, as I say, work with consultants, smaller businesses, micro businesses. I work with scale ups, so businesses that are really ready to scale fast and get ready for some really steep trajectory. And I also work with creatives, singers, DJs, photographers, writers, etc. That are amazing people, but do not even want to connect creating. So those diagnostics give me this amazing feedback that I can share with a client. And sometimes that's all I do. We just do the diagnostic phase.
Mm.
And it's quite a low commitment really from them, from financial and time point of view. And then we do a 2-hour review, then going over that diagnostic. And you get my thinking with that diagnostic because I can see the patterns and I can see the opportunity. And hopefully you've told me where you want to be. So I've got some form of business plan, etc. So I put all of that together and then we have this 2-hour session. That is, that's intense.
Yeah.
But it's really fulfilling.
It's so necessary. It is. Like, I think some people, and even myself in the past, I've had thoughts going through like, I don't need anyone to lean on. I've got this covered, man. No problem. And then you soon get humbled.
It's lonely at
very
the top.
quickly. It's lonely. And then you do truly see the value in, yeah, there's information online. You can do all that, but it's actually having someone that you can just pick up the phone with and ask something very specific, and sit down face to face. It is a bit of therapy in a way, I'm not going to lie. That's probably part of it, but
I think
backed with all the systems.
I think it might feel like therapy because you're getting it off your chest. But what I've found is, and myself included in the early days, you'll end up boring your friends and family to death, giving them all your woes and ideas. And it's just like, come on, be a friend.
Yeah.
be the husband. Don't
Yeah, yeah.
bring your business home with.
It needs
Let's sort some-
separation, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be selective with what information you bring home and share with you. Find people that get what you're doing. And then it's transformational what a good coach and advisor can do. It's absolutely transformational.
Saves a lot of time.
So much time, so much heartache. Stops you going down rabbit holes, spending money where you don't need it, putting energy where you don't need it. That's a big one for me.
Mm.
Go on, mate.
Yeah, I felt you.
You go, Dan.
All right. I'm intrigued by the neurodiverse part. And do you feel that you felt better in yourself getting diagnosis and then the full understanding of ADHD? And then has that helped you identify that in helping others?
Yeah, it did. And I'm on a real journey with it still, because as I say, it's late life diagnosis, and it's not that I went to be diagnosed. So I've always felt different, and that's okay once you realize why. When you're not typical, but you live in a typical world, you don't fit in. And so then you ultimately develop coping strategies and you mask to fit in. So you
Yes.
become a bit of a mimic, but that takes so much energy. Didn't realize any of this, of course, until I was diagnosed. I had a cycling accident a few years ago, and I ended up with a brain injury. And it was on that recovery that, through various mental health issues around that recovery, I was misdiagnosed a number of times, you see. So you think, what the hell's going on? Am I dying? Have I got something really going badly wrong here? And then, of course, you connect with the right professionals eventually. That was a bit of a journey. And then all this information and all this support and all this care is there. And it was at that point that I was signposted to test.
Right.
And
How long was that recovery process then? So did that enable you to understand more about yourself and the way that you were operating whilst you were out? How so? When you were recovering, what were going on for you?
So the recovery involved having to rest my brain. That's,
Right.
if you break your leg, you've got to rest your leg. If you
Yeah.
break your brain, you've got to rest your brain. And one of the things that I was asked to do was an audit on my work life. And I hadn't realized I was working 80 to 100 hours a week because I was loving it.
Don't feel like work.
Don't feel like work. And I was also doing a lot of parenting, a lot of fathering, everything that you do, all your community stuff, all of that on top. I had 3 businesses at the time. And I had embedded roles, which we'll talk about a bit later, hopefully, what a fractional and embedded role is. So I had a lot of skin in the game in a lot of businesses. It's a lot of responsibility. And I don't take that lightly, and I want to deliver well, and hadn't realized the sort of creep that had come in. So yeah, when you'll know this, when you're recuperating and working your way back to full performance, you can't do 100 hours, or you can't play the game, or you can't even train as hard. That was the sort of journey that would be a physical journey for what you do. But for me, it were a mental journey. So I had to sit down with a specialist basically and say, well, you can't do that and you can't do that. And I would say, well, hang on a minute, this business might suffer, or that contract might suffer. Yeah, well, that's what's going to happen. So it was like a total reset. So I had to sell the business, which was very painful because it was a passion business and I didn't want to let go of it. Oh my God, kicking and screaming. But to be able to reflect back on that from a good place now and realize, wow, that passion project was doing me more harm than good. And it actually, on the very basic level, I didn't get any revenue from it. So I was putting all these hours a week into it. It wasn't paying me a thing, but me and my partner were putting that, every bit of profit was going back into the business because we were fortunate that we had revenue streams elsewhere. So we were growing this business very quickly because all the profits were going back in. It was a product business, in a retail environment, online, offline, Amazon. So every time you sold a product, you needed to buy 2 more. So you can imagine what that does to your cash flow.
Mm.
So it was just all going back in.
Can relate, can't we, Dan?
You can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that had to go. And now I can enjoy it from afar, and I got lots of great experiences in that business. I met some of my heroes. It was in cycling, so as you know, I'm keen on that. That had to go. Some of the contracts that I had to either pause or end within my practice. Most people's feedback was, in a true Yorkshire fashion, "We know you've bumped your head. Just come back to us when you're back again." So that was a nice way to put it, really. Some of the families that I work with in family businesses, they were upset at what had happened. They genuinely cared. It was quite amazing, really, to feel that and to say, "You just come back when you're ready." And then one of the employed roles, I just had to reduce that a little bit. So I had to then sort of step back into it little by little and bring the first clients back. This was only over about a 3 to 6 month period, so it wasn't a mass pause. Hopefully it didn't affect.
But it felt like that for you, though. Didn't it?
Oh, well, of course, I just started gardening and trades. It's really difficult to stop. It's tough, hard. But I started to learn a bit more then about, hang on a minute, it's all right spotting the rhythms and patterns, etc., for growing a business. What about what you need as a person? So, although I was into fitness, nutrition had been something that I just was a bit voodoo to me. Even though I like cooking, I didn't really understand nutrition. I find it a very difficult, complex subject. And then the well-being aspect
So do I.
outside. Yes.
And
I don't know how you do it.
I work with it, and yeah, it sometimes baffles me.
It can go wrong very quickly, and there's a lot of misinformation or misinterpretation, might be fairer, around nutrition. So to run a successful business and life, really important. So I brought that a bit more to the fore. I've got some great connections in that area, contrast and saunas, etc.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
a little bit about that. So so I felt a bit like, say, the music and the DJing. Once I started putting some time into that area, of course, my knowledge grew on it and my understanding of it. Experts in that area. So that's a key part to me now. And that's something that I bring through now on the advisory side. Again, when I say I'm giving feedback to, the leaders of businesses, it's often a blind spot for them. Yeah, so they may have loads of hobbies, but they may,
the health side.
their health side, they're pushing themselves too far, like I did. Pushing themselves too far. They're living in chaos because of the ND way of approaching life. It's chaos, and well-being and things like that may be ignored or done to extreme. There's no in between. So I'm very grateful that I had that pause. I'm very grateful that it allowed me to have a reset and rebuild and go again, but in a much more focused way.
I'm going to ask you there, Chris. It's quite a big reset and a big life event. Did you have any sort of dark moments within that struggle, or were you quite, did you have the armor at that point in your life to deal with it?
I'm taking a pause because I've not really shared this. I believe up until that point, I'm a resourceful guy. Been in some tough situations. Been in court, talking huge amount, crazy amount of money. I've been let down. I've pushed myself. I've had burnout. I've lived on the edge of burnout without knowing it. Nearly all dealt with addictions, which I now realise is a massive part of ADHD and mental health. It's ways of coping. I didn't realise at the time. I just thought it was, when I look back on it, it was a way of fitting in. So I felt I could just about deal with anything, and to put more of a sort of rugby feel to it, I could put my body on the line. I put my mind and body on the line. Oh my word, that is just not healthy. Why would anybody? It's not a coping strategy. You're in grave danger, and I'm fortunate that I got through that. And the reason that I did was because of the love of my family. and connection that I had with the right kind of people in mental health services, in the health, and people who really stepped up and helped me through that period. So it took a team. I always say it takes a team, doesn't it?
A village.
It takes a village. I was quite blown away, really, when I was able to reflect properly on the amount of support that I got. My give back on that is hopefully helping others that are in that position and majorly helping others not get into that position and go too far. But burnout is real. And yeah, okay, I'm an older guy, so things catch up with you. Just because you're younger, you shouldn't. Yeah, push yourself. I get that. But within a safe limit, you would never see someone overtrain or.
One of the biggest teachers is experience, right? So then, as a mentor, because I have to do this at times too, and sometimes you've got to let them, because then you have to then support
in a safe and in supported environment.
Because it's one of those where you're not ready to receive this information here that I'm about to give. Like everything's fine and I'm on it and etc. etc. And
you've got to get past the ego sometimes.
Well, that's a tricky one, isn't it?
And look, ego is important, in particular if you are putting yourself on the line. You've got to believe in yourself, and that's an ego, but that's safe.
When does it become detrimental?
When you're not listening, even to yourself, even to that little voice inside. That's when it becomes a problem. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've seen that too many times. Yeah. And lost people, fortunately. So yes, I was very, very fortunate. It's been a huge, huge reset learning curve. But because I now understand it more and I'm actually studying on the subject. What that looks like is being an ADHD or DHD informed coach. So I have the coaching advisory capabilities, but when you're wandering into the action on that, and yes, you can read up on it, and yes, I can learn by my experience, but I think you also need to be working towards a qualification, I'd say, is what I'm doing. Yeah, and that's really helpful.
That's great, mate. Thanks for sharing all that, because quite a vulnerable space and time for you. So appreciate that, mate.
No, it's no problem.
There's something I wanted to touch on, which is the industry that you're in, Chris. It's quite, let's say, it is still quite young in its infancy as an overall, particularly in this country.
In the UK, yeah.
In the UK. And you see it all the time, like so-and-so's now a business coach or a life coach. And hold on a second, have they ever run a business before? This is what you're seeing quite a lot, people popping up as a business coach or a life coach. You've obviously been there and you've got the t-shirt, mate. You've got the stats to back up whatever you're coaching, whatever you're telling people. What's your thoughts on kind of people that are claiming to be these business coaches, life coaches, but don't necessarily have the correct toolkit to be doing so?
Yeah, it's an interesting point you make there. So, let's look at coaching and mentoring advisory. In America, they lead in America's huge. It definitely plays its part. Something that I connected with is when I was taking a break and I was recovering, I needed people around me, whether those be other coaches or therapists or whatever it may be. Some of them come from the National Health and others, if you want to do some more deeper work, as they call it, then you need to go out and find something. It was so confusing. And it touches on your point. I was looking for a specific kind of therapist stroke coach. Yeah. And there's a national site that they pay to be part of. Right. So you type in what you're looking for and where you are, because some people prefer face to face. A lot of stuff like this stuff's done online. And I put in the 3 things that I was very specific things. And the website gave me 400 plus coaches, right?
What narrows it
That are in
down?
my postcode, apparently. Wow. Okay. Right. So when I looked into this, because my mind looking for the pattern, what has made that happen?
Mm,
So I started to look at their bio, if you would, and it was just like an a list of
loads of keywords.
all this: family therapist, this, I do ADHD, bipolar, I do family reconciliation, working with this, and it just, I'm a business coach. I also do this, this, and this. And a lot of them have got qualifications at some level,
Mm.
and maybe they've got some history on it. I said, this is crazy. I'm not going to interview. And then, so I've got to try and pick out a handful of people that I want. I couldn't refine it down.
Mm.
Even if I just put one item in, it still kept just garbage. So that really put me off. And then eventually I got 10 people and I interviewed them on, that's 10 discovery calls. That's 30 minutes of my time, their time.
Mm.
None of them had what I was looking for.
How can you have so many levels of expertise?
Crazy. Now, I want to just back that up by saying the work that these people are doing is absolutely vital and necessary. I'm all for that, whether it be therapy, coaching, the type of work you do. I'm, sports advice, nutritional advice, having a coach, looking at America, that's where coaching came from. Every upcoming sports star had a coach. A singer would have a coach. And then, of course, that moved across then into the world of business. So all our favorite stars, whether they're from America or global or the UK, guarantee you they will have some form of coaching, if not even a blender coach, nutritionist, everything. But yet a businessman or business lady or business people can think they can found a business and do this and have no advisory at all. Usually the advisor would be the accountant. Back in the day, accountants would end up helping run businesses because they could see cash flow issues, etc., etc., and they would advise their client, and that would become a very close relationship. Maybe even some negative mentoring going on there because the accountant was thinking more about their
Out and out numbers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also what they could charge, management fees, etc., etc. When really they had no advice on how to run a business, but they knew about money. So a lot of businesses were run via.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's where I come from on that. I think it's essential to advise anybody to have in what they want to exceed in life, whatever that may, get some help. Look at the world of cooking. I've got mates who are chefs and restaurant owners. The best chefs in the UK would go and do stages in France. A stage means working for nothing. In return, they got to learn that chefs. So they'll be working for Michelin star. I've had friends that have worked for Michelin star chefs. If they can commit that kind of level and time, why can't you get an hour every now and then with an advisor?
So important.
What do you think to that?
Saving a hell of a lot of time, effort, money, stress.
Tears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I think you've just got to be very selective in, who that person is. And I just guess it comes down to the ultimate, do your research and don't just make an impulsive decision, because that can be painful as well. For instance, I'm an advocate of therapy. I've done it myself, several different routes of therapy, because I wanted to delve a bit deeper into me. And because of that, I feel like I'm a better coach for that reason, because not only am I working with someone on a physical standpoint, if your head's not right, you're not performing, simple as.
Yeah, I get that.
So for me to be able to do that work on myself helped me to understand a little bit more and be more compassionate, not just a one size fits all, and think about different.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Because I appreciate not everybody's like me, has the same mindset that I have and the same issues that I have. And all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it gave me a bit more of an overview as a human, really, to be able to elevate my coaching. So I just think it comes down to be open to the coaching space and don't be put off by it if you have a slight negative experience, because some people might do therapy, open Pandora's box, and then don't feel like that they've got what they wanted from it. Oh, well, I don't feel fixed. It's like, well, it don't work like that. You fix yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it gives you tools to help you long term. You don't even know that the magic's working sometimes, but it is slowly but surely, you know? So, yeah, I think if there's a message for anyone for that, it's be open and keep trying.
Yeah.
Basically, you know, not all coaches can help you.
No, and also you touched on something there, is that, it's understanding, selecting a coach. What's their background? We've got LinkedIn nowadays, and if it's used, which is a great tool, where it's at now, I think is a phenomenal tool, and it's a great channel for me. But it's it's easier than ever to check out somebody's background. And so you can do your own homework. You can speak to people, etc. People will put people forward, I'm sure, but you can also go and find people and see what they've done. What is there? If LinkedIn's used correctly, you can see what I've done. You can see my background. It's all listed out. It's difficult to fudge things like that. A bit like a nutritionist, for example. Well, if they're not trained, unless they're saying to you, "Look, I'm self-taught, and these are some of the stuff I've learned." But I've got a friend who is a nutritionist, and he's on the NHS, and his role is to turn around patients that are pre-diabetic. Wow. If I want to talk to anybody, and Rob's my man about understanding nutrition at that level, because that's what he does. And I think lots of people, as they get on in life, maybe make some more time available to share their knowledge and experience. And those are the type of people.
Just to put you in a scenario, so I'm just thinking of people that might be listening who are kind of on the fence. Should I get in touch with a should I get in touch with a coach? Should I have a business coach? What would be your message, Chris, really, to say someone, why would someone benefit from it, from what you do specifically as well?
One, I'd advise that you want to know where you're trying to get to.
Why?
What's the why? What are the challenges? Do a SWOT analysis. If you're not, I mean, I love AI. I'm growing into AI. Even someone at my age, I want to connect with technology. AI is fantastic. Have a chat with ChatGPT about your business. Instead of going home and dumping on the wife, girlfriend, etc.
Sorry, Jess.
Whilst watching Corey.
Yeah, have a chat. Get that level done first. Start to get things out of your head a little bit. So many people come to me and they haven't got a business plan, but they're running a business. I mean, considerable size businesses for many, many years and have no business plan. Obviously, we know about the VTO in Traction. It's a 2-page document. I've worked with people on 2-page VTOs, and they've gone to the bank and raised millions of pounds on a 2-page business plan because it's that on it. Everything's there. So I would think get it out your head first. Even if you go for a walk and tape a conversation with yourself. There's an app I use called Granola. It's free. Download it. Have a conversation with. So how it works, get it on your phone. You can sync it with your contacts. You can then, if I ring you and I know we're going to have a long conversation about business and we're going to work through some challenges, maybe I'll get Granola running in the background. So I'm not listening to you, making notes and thinking about. I rely on Granola to capture everything. I'm actually running Granola today. It'll capture everything we've talked about here, and it'll give me a synopsis and maybe some action points coming out of it.
That's unreal.
How cool is that?
That's so good for me.
So good.
Bandwidth. That's what I need. I need my brain to be doing other things,
Yeah.
doing the right things.
Yeah.
So maybe try
You're
that.
not fully present in the meeting then, are
No,
you?
you're not. No, you're not. And I'm an avid note taker. I need those notes. So to have that now is just fabulous.
It's gold, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so what I would suggest is,
And that's a free app.
it's a free app called Granola. It's amazing. I guarantee it'll change your life. It'll give you some headspace back.
Needed.
But yeah, have a conversation.
Yeah.
And then look at that conversation. So you've done what my coach would have said, do some deep work. Do some deep work on yourself before you're ready to talk about yourself. Unless, of course, you're in a crisis. I do mergers and acquisitions. One of those businesses is in trouble. So yes, if there's a crisis, sometimes there isn't time for a deep dive. It's like, we need you in here now or else, X, Y, Z. But yeah, that's a great place to start.
Solid. Great advice.
What's the top 3 sort of biggest themes where people are failing?
Leadership and the bottleneck of the founder or the leadership team. That's a big fail. Not having a business plan and spending time and money in maybe the wrong areas. I'll give you an example. I worked with a brilliant lady a few years back, and she had a retail business, online, and also a store, a retail outlet. And she had two brands and 2 revenue streams. And one was the passion side, what she loved doing, right? And she loved that product and service and the high ticket items. And then she had a secondary range, which was slightly under a different brand, that they both worked off each other, and she was losing money. And she was in a crisis and was networked into me. So within the first meeting, we looked through her financials, P&Ls, whatnot, etc. She had a bunch of data there, which was to do with inventory and things like this. And we ran P&Ls on both brands, which she hadn't done, but we separated it into both brands. And what came out of it was the secondary business was actually highly profitable and could scale, but the business that she loved was tanking money and was being propped up by the secondary business that she didn't put any attention into. She just kind of got dragged along. And that was like a moment for her where she went, I can't believe it. So the big dream for her was to have this successful business, build it up and sell it. That's what she wanted to do. She'd worked in retail her life, you see. So she was a buyer and a retailer. So she understood the environment. But for some reason, had just not connected with this. So very quickly, she pivoted the business fully into the profitable business. She scaled down and sold off the high asset stuff, high value stuff. She put all the time and money then into that other side of the business, scaled it and sold it within 3 years.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Amazing situation. She did all the hard work, by the way. My God, she had to graft to turn that around and pivot properly and take the customers with her. And she did a brilliant job, absolutely brilliant job.
But that's what it is, like what someone like yourself can offer is just to put your different pair of glasses on.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I call it a lens, let's look at it through a different lens, or through my lens, through the Thriven lenses, Diagnostics, etc. Let's look at the data. Let's see where things are. Yeah, you've got to feel it here, what you're doing, but also this is where it's won and lost.
And it's coming back to what you want, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so how's that going for you?
Yeah.
For
She'd
example,
been hiding
fat
from
loss, for example.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, I love my training, and I'm doing 20K
it feels good.
running a week, and I'm but I enjoy a few pints with my mates, and all that.
The
And it's like,
weekend
yeah, but
write-offs the week.
what do you want the most? Fat loss.
Yeah.
How's that going? Not great.
Yep.
Okay. But what do we need to do then?
Yeah.
What do
Not
we need
actually
to
getting
do?
anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just same thing, innit?
Yeah.
You offer that space.
Yeah. So what we were able to look at there with that lady was ultimately what are you trying to get to here? I want to exit me. I want to I want to feel good about building a successful brand. She did quite a lot of community work as well. She's really, honestly, well-rounded person. Just didn't have a plan.
Mm.
And she was following her heart instead of the numbers, and turned it around and was able to crystallize it by doing the right work. I
Mm.
think that's what you're saying there, Liz. Let's do the right work.
Mm.
And of course, she loved the new business once it, and she hadn't shared this with her family, her friends. Everybody thought everything was going so well, and she was working all these hours. And
So, and probably on the edge of burnout as well.
On the very edge of burnout, working too many hours, and in financial trouble. And it was gonna come out one way or another, unfortunately. So massive kudos to her for the work that she did.
I'd take a wild guess at predicting that is the case for a very high percentage of, especially small businesses in this country, where they've just got the blinkers on. They're not looking at any data.
Stats don't lie, do they?
Stats don't lie. How many businesses fail? But it's just so easily done to continue with the day-to-day, not checking on any stats, data. Just keep
Don't open those envelopes.
Don't open it. Oh, it doesn't exist. Yeah. I'll leave that there, that brown one.
Truth hurts.
Yeah, put it on fire. Put it on fire. Well, it's so common. Probably a lot more common than we think, isn't it?
It's really interesting. Yeah, it's so common. The stats don't lie. 80% of businesses fail within the first 3 years. You're a startup business you're considered a startup business in the UK. Why are we even allowing people? I'm maybe being a bit rigid there, but why are we? You can't drive a car until you've taken a test. Get to business school. It's a real thing.
Mm.
Or find a way of learning before you commit all your time and most of your savings and drag all your family with it. It kills me to see retail environments, new signage going up, and then I drive past within, weeks, months, years, and it's another business gone down.
Yeah, it's sad to see.
And who's making money out of that? The sign makers, the landlords. I'm being silly, but you get me. You've got to kick these places out. I'm talking about physical businesses, but it's the same online. 20 grand on a new website, a brand that's taken us all this time. No. Yeah, let's grow into that.
Mm.
Put your money and time into the things that actually are going to help you grow a great business. The great signage can come. The fancy website can come.
So, from my perspective, in training sense, the roots, like your legs, the trunk is the core, the branches are, your arms, your biceps, etc. And it's where you're spreading that focus to build that tree. What's the right step in terms of the foundation, the roots, the trunk, and then what's the, in terms of that, from a business perspective, what do you need to focus on from the ground up?
Business planning. Is there an audience? How many times do we see a new product come along that nobody really needs to buy, but someone's put their heart and soul into developing that? I think good enough is good enough, and testing and learn really quickly. Get to market quickly. Get to market out of your bedroom. Get to market, in a small way.
Quick feedback.
Yeah. You've got to get this feedback loop going really quickly. And I know that comes out of, if you think back where that comes from, is software development. Back in the day, software development was like, we'd take the brief off the client. This could be a bank, the National Health Service, famously in America. There's books written about it. They've spent 10 years developing the software there out of a client brief and never tested it once. What's happened in 10 years? The whole industry's moved on. And of course, it failed. Hundreds of millions of pounds wasted, scrapped. And then now software developers work in sprints. So they do 7 days work and review it and test it. Look at the iPhone, look how it's new things are brought on all the time, you know, and we're on iPhone, 2000, whatever we're on now.
Yeah.
But it allowed them to get to market, get feedback. You know, Steve Jobs was an absolute genius at that. So let's learn by these great business leaders. Get to market, get tested, start small, listen, do your own diagnostics. You don't have to use anything as complicated or advanced as mine. Set your own little dashboard up, you know, traction, get a dashboard. What are the key figures we need to be tracking? Is our membership going up? You know, what sort of membership's going up? How many times have you seen a business that'll go on a journey? Like your business, look at where you are now to where you were. Look at the offering that you have for your clients to where you started. Look at the offering that you are already working on for maybe year 2, 3, 4. That's the way to be progressive and keep in touch and stay connected with the people that are buying your products and services.
There's a song by the OJs and it's called Give the People What They Want.
Yep.
And it always stuck with me. You know, it's really catchy as well. It's a catchy tune.
Yeah, I love it.
And it always made me reflect when I heard it. I was like, that's business, that, like, and I need to just keep that tune going over in my head. Like, what do you want?
Yep.
What do you need?
Yep.
Listen and give them what they want, not what you want.
That's where exponential growth can come, at that connection. That's where I sit in a business. That's the intersection of, give the people what they want, give the business owner what he needs, give his team what they need, give the client and market what they need. That's where I've got skin in the game. And if you can get that bit right.
Well, if I had any doubts of if you were going to be a good coach for myself or not, they've now disappeared.
Thank you.
For the purpose of this podcast, mate, we're going to wrap it up there.
Sure.
I don't know if there's anything that you just want to, that we've not covered at all, if you just want to mention anything that you feel like we've not covered.
Yeah, when I talk about mentors, thank you.
Yeah.
Can be an unpaid mentor. It's in your field. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that these guys are going to, and girls, people are going to come and work for you. That's not the case, but you can observe them. You know, we just talked about Jobs there and how he went to market. Observe your competition. Observe the very best in your sector. Learn by them. There's so much available online. Look at their LinkedIn. Where did these people come from? Look at their brand history. Look at Companies House and have a look at their P&L. It's there. Okay, maybe abbreviated accounts, but there's information there. Get closer to them. I just reach out to people. Gino Wickman, we talked about his book Traction. I've had a number of conversations with Gino. I've never met him. And if you asked him now who's Chris Iredale, he wouldn't know. But if you said, what about the Thriven coach? He'd say, yeah, I know that guy. He sells a load of books for me. I'm not going to go on his courses because, frankly, they're in America and they're very expensive and not really what I need. But his books are tools. But I've got close to him. And that started with looking into him and his background and understanding where he came from. He's very open about where he came from, actually, if you start listening to him. So I linked in with him and had a chat with him and ask people.
Yeah.
If you are polite and realize that people are not going to give you a heap of their time, but they might just give you a tip or they might give you a connection, and that's all for nothing.
I think people need to become more comfortable with reaching out for help.
You're a master.
I was going to give you an example. When we started the sauna business, I bought a book called The Secrets of Finnish Sauna Design. Okay. Yeah. So this was written by a guy called Dr. Lassi Laikanen. And then I just thought, I'm going to read the book, but I also want to speak to the guy and see if he can help as a coach, essentially. And
Perfect.
Reached out to him, came back. He's actually worked on a couple of the recent projects with us, helping design.
That's a great example.
Helping design our saunas.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know? So that's
real.
that's real. That's what you're talking about. Reach out to these
That
guys.
attention to detail that you would miss 100%.
I've done the same when I've wanted to look into neurodiverse coaching. Mentor. There is, you said it earlier, there's so many coaches everywhere nowadays. And yes, there's loads of people this side. Everyone's got an Insta, TikTok, whatever it may be. Connect with their material, but also connect with them. Have a conversation with them. Look, I'm a well-practiced business developer. I'm okay to reach out. Some people are very nervous about it, and I get that. But it doesn't stop you writing a message. Message them, DM them, ask them things. I've had some really generous situations where people have spent time with me because, I've got closer to them as an individual, and I help share what their business is doing. I believe in what they're doing, and I'm a great connector. I like to connect people, and I can see opportunities. And I've had loads of time given back where people come on a call with me, 15, 20 minutes. You can find out a heck of a lot in that. And yours is a great example. Well, look what actually came out of that. You reached out to him, and now he's doing work for you, which I'm guessing is paid.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
These people are not on pedestals. And if they don't respond, then
it's fine.
Look, if you try to reach out to Olivia Dean, then she's going to have a load of people running her accounts, and she's not even going to see your messages. So let's get real. People in high places, they may not even receive their messages. But in the world of business, I think, like your example, you'll get through to them. Every book I've got that has become important, I have a library of books, and it's something that we could maybe look at another time. I'll bring them all in.
Yeah.
A library of books, and I've got a sequence that I use depending on where the businesses are in their journey. I have communications with every author whose books and materials that I work with, and that's just by reaching out and talking to them.
Phenomenal. That's great. That really is great, mate. And we'll definitely get you back on.
Oh, thank you.
We'll get you back on, mate. What do you reckon, Dan?
100%.
Yeah, I think there's been a ton of value given from yourself, mate. So I'm really grateful for you coming in.
Thank you.
Really grateful for you coming into my world now as well. So looking forward to it, mate. Seeing where we can take it. And the fact that we've connected and you specialise on neurodiverse founders is probably a hint to maybe get diagnosed myself.
Well, there's a number of processes, so I understand the landscape now. So, I mean, look, let that sink in a little bit. Let that sink in a bit. And then obviously it's new and shiny, so that'll obviously light up the dopamine.
How long did that process take?
Well, this is the problem. If you're waiting on the NHS now, it can be up to 7 years.
Okay.
So that is madness.
Wow.
And underfunded, and wow, what a shame. But there are other routes. Okay, and I'm not just private. There are other ways of working with the NHS to speed things up. You have to go through a process, which I can talk to you about, and that takes about 18 months to 2 years. So it's not quick, but it's certainly quicker than a referral from your GP. And your GP will work with you on this other process.
Okay. Right. Okay, mate. Chris, thank you, mate. Cheers for coming on.
Very much.
How can people connect with you, mate, if they're wanting to reach out, for business?
No, thank you. Chris Iredale, Iredale on LinkedIn. Please link up, follow, send me a message. My website is thriven, thriven.co.uk. And that'll be the way that you can get in touch through the website or through LinkedIn.
Phenomenal, mate.
Have a conversation.
Thank you, pal.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Little fist bump there. Bosh.
Beautiful.